hope you're doing great. Today we are doing a very simple tutorial in watercolor to paint a peacock feather. So as it is a season now, I made greeting cards with it, but of course it's a very nice model and a very simple one once you know how to do it, so feel free to use it in your compositions, in your paintings, as you want. So I am going to show you how to do on this model, the green one, but so you can see how it looks, I made also a red one and a blue one, and just for the end of the year, a silver one, all shiny with a black background. So at the end of the video I will give you all the references of the paint that I use for these 4 models that I'm presenting today, but feel free to use your own paints. We are here to have fun, and let's get started. For the paper I use 100% cotton paper for watercolor. If you have some, I really recommend you use that. But if you don't have any, don't worry, you can use cellulose paper, just regular paper. Just make sure it's at least 250 grams so it can hold the water. For the paints you will need 3 colors in watercolor plus 1 gouache for the finishing touches. You can use metallic gouache, it will look great. And for the 3 watercolors, it's 1 color for the background, 1 color for the feather barbs, and 1 color for the feather eye. You will also need 2 brushes, so a round one with a pointed tip. Doesn't really matter what size it is, mine is a 6, but what's important is that it really has a pointed tip. You're going to have better control. And also you're going to need a flat brush to do the background. I use my flat angle brush because I like it. If you just have a flat regular brush, it's perfectly fine. I'm going to divide my paper in 4 sections because I'm going to do the 4 models in parallel. If you want to do them in series, I suggest you do the same. It helps to let each layer dry before coming back to the next one, and it really saves a lot of time. But of course you can do only one model. In that case, just make sure you let the paper dry properly in between the layers. Also, if you make them in series, don't forget to put tape in between the different models so that the paint doesn't go from one side to the other. We're going to start by tracing the eye of the feather with a pencil. So in the upper right corner you're going to make kind of a hard-boiled egg shape, a small circle and then 3 dots at the same distance from the circle, and a 4th dot towards the upper right corner, and by connecting these 4 dots it's going to make kind of an egg shape. Then we erase the pencil so that only the trace remains, and it will show through the first layer of paint, but it won't show on the final painting. Then we start by painting the background with a very diluted watercolor, and then we'll leave the eye of the feather completely white. So we paint everywhere except the eye of the feather. And then, before the paint is completely dry, we're going to come back and tap the edges with a less diluted paint. And as the paper is not dry yet, the paint will make a gradient from the edge to the inside. At this point we're going to let the background dry really well. And if it's too light to your taste, you can come back, do the previous steps again until you like the result once it's dry. Once the background is dry, we are going to take emerald green paint, not too diluted, and we're going to paint all around the eye of the feather. Then we will rinse our brush, and with only water we will go over the edges of the green that we already made, and we're going to paint all the eye except one dot on the upper part. So that will make a small reflection at the end. So this white dot all along the painting, it will always remain white, we will never paint it. And a little bit like we did the frame on the background, we're going to come back with emerald green paint around the eye, and since it's not quite dry yet, it's going to smudge a little bit towards the inside of the eye, and it's going to make a nice gradient. Then with black paint we're going to make the stem of the feather. A little bit like if it was a flower. You can make it straight, diagonally, or a little bit of an S shape. That looks nice too. Then we will paint the barbs of the feather. So we start at the top by painting one that goes in the direction of the stem. Then we're going to put the brush against the edge of the eye, go around a little bit and go towards the outside of the painting by lifting the brush. And that's going to give a pretty aerial effect to the feather, and it's pretty nice. We do this starting from the top, and we will make the barbs one by one, going down little by little around the eye. And for the barbs of the stem we do the same. We follow a little bit the stem with the brush, and then we make a little wave by lifting the brush. I don't paint them too close together because at the base of each barb I like to add a shorter one. It gives a more natural effect. And in fact it's weird because I think the peacock feather has barbs all of the same size, but honestly it's prettier if we make different size and paint. While the barbs of the feather are drying, we're going to return on the eye with paint, this time not diluted at all. I use directly colors from my palette, and we're going to paint the outline of the small circle that we drew at the beginning, and as the paint is really almost pure, it's going to be very dark. Then we rinse our brush, and with water we'll come back on the edge towards the inside, and as we did at the beginning, it will make a small gradient toward the inside of the circle. Now that the barbs of the feather are dry, we'll come back with a black paint, almost not diluted at all, very intense, and we will go over the stem and each barb, but not all the way to the end. So it will make a gradient effect that is quite nice. And also we are going to do the outline of the eye to make it stand out. At that point, make sure that the eye and the little circle in it are really dry before going on to the next step. So we're going to go over the outline of the small circle in black. You can look at the picture of a peacock feather. In fact, this circle is really in two parts, and so to reproduce that, we will start by making a very small black line, which will be in the direction of the stem. Then this small black line, you will make a triangle around it. Imagine a small mountain like Mount Fuji. You color the small mountain in black, and then you go all around the circle with a thin black line, and we will round off the angles a little bit at the joint between the mountain and the circle. And this is what really gives the identity of the peacock feather. This is where we will recognize it. So don't hurry, go slowly. It's the only moment that's a little bit delicate in the painting, so take your time. And now it's already time to do the finishing touches. So we'll use copper gouache and we'll go over each barb without going all the way through, and you'll see that's going to make a really nice effect with the black underneath. Then we make the outline of the eye with the copper gouache, leaving a small black line between the eye and the copper paint. If you make a mistake, don't worry, you just go over with a small black line at the end. So as I said, I showed you the tutorial on the emerald model with copper paint, but I made several with gold or silver paint, so you can choose the model that you prefer to do it at home. I also give you all the references I used for the other paintings. This is all Sennelier paint, but I think you can find equivalent in other brands. And then as a little bonus, if you are making greeting cards, you can buy some thick colored paper. My advice would be to take a darker color. It really makes the painting stand out. I hope you like this tutorial. If you do one of those models, tag me on Instagram or leave me a comment down below. I will be super happy to see what you did. And in the meantime, I wish you a very nice end of the year, and I will see you very soon. Bye. How am I supposed to work? Lord Cat? Shazama? Shazama?